Alright guys, just a quick intro before we start the video. There's a lot of moving parts to this actual video. The first, I'm going to be reviewing the Canon R6. Then we're going to jump into a video, and then we're going to jump into some pictures. And I want you guys to hang around to the end to see the pictures, so I want your comments and your thoughts on those pictures. So let's get started. Welcome back. I want to take a chance to review the Canon R6, which has been my most favorite camera I've ever had, even including some of the Mamiya 645 medium format film cameras I had in the 90s. The Canon R6 is just so advanced. They do have a Canon R6 Mark II. That might be, in my book, almost the perfect camera. The Canon R6 is very close to the R6 Mark II, so it's not worth upgrading from one to the other. I think you've got either one. You're doing really good. For what I do, I don't need 50 or 80 megapixels. I do weddings and models, and 20 megapixels is plenty fine, because I think once you get above 20, you're just using so much memory card usage, you're using so much storage off-site, whether you're storing it in the cloud or a NAS drive or wherever you're storing it, external hard drive, you're just taking up a lot of space with stuff you don't really need. When I'm shooting models, shooting weddings, I can still do some cropping. I try to line it up right in the camera to start with, so I don't have to do a lot of cropping afterwards, but the 20 megapixels still allows me to crop. I know a lot of people say 20 megapixels, that's just not enough, but I've never had an issue, not one time, and we've blown these up to 20 by 30 and bigger, and they look beautiful. So I'm not worried about my 20 megapixels. I like it. I can use the smaller cards, the regular SD. I don't have to use those CFS Express cards that are so expensive, because when I want to shoot digital shuttering, get 20 frames per second, and mechanical is 12 frames a second. So for me, 20 megapixels is perfect right where it is. Now, one thing I think puts this Canon R6, this is it. One thing about the Canon R6 that I think makes it one of the best cameras is it's just right for low light. You don't have too many megapixels, because you have a lot of megapixels. Say, I think the Canon R5 has 45 megapixels. In low light, I'm probably going to be about a half a stop better in low light than they are, because the more megapixels you put on a sensor, the smaller they are. Well, this has 20 megapixels on the same size sensor, so I have bigger megapixels for each one, and that's better for low light. Now, the one thing you can do with all of these new Canon mirrorless cameras, and I highly recommend this, KEH is a great place you can look, but if you get, I'm sure you've noticed that the RF lenses are pretty pricey. They're either pretty pricey or they're kind of budget side, so you're either looking at $250 or $3 grand, so somewhere in between there. So, but what you can do, right now, all the EF lenses, and that's what Canon made their professional line for years, 20 years, maybe more than that, I'm not sure, but a long time. That's what they had before they moved to the RF line. So you can take the Canon EF to RF adapter. I don't have one on here right now. I've got a RF 50 on here. But you can take that EF to RF adapter, put it on your camera, grab an EF lens that's on sale. So you can go on KEH website, pull up a Canon 24-70 2.8, the EF, put it right on there, and you won't miss a beat. You won't drop any quality. The focus will be just fine. You won't miss anything with it. So take advantage of the prices of those EF, especially the EF L series lenses. Those are the best ones. Those are the ones that have like a little red ring around the outside, most of them. That's your professional line. Those are going to be the best ones you can get in the EF range, and they're so much cheaper right now than going with an RF. Now, another thing I love about the Canon RF shooting weddings is it has 2 memory card slots. I love backups. You guys that have watched my channel know that I love backups for my backups. And having 2 memory cards is fantastic. In the first slot, I usually keep, because I do love the brand ProGrade. I don't know if you can see that. That's a ProGrade 128 gig card. I keep that in the front as my in and out card, because if I shoot the guys, I go download. And then when I go shoot the girls, I go download. I don't download at the end of the wedding. I download every chance I get in a break at a wedding if I'm moving from one to another. And then in the back, I keep either a 256 or a 512, which is basically just like having an external hard drive on my camera. I just leave it in there until it fills up. Once it fills up, I download it to my NAS drive, and then I take the memory card and put it away just as another backup, just extra storage. I don't know how long they last, but we will find out. And for the price that you pay for those, it's worth using it, just having one more extra place to back up your pictures. Front card, the one I showed you, that's the one I'm using in and out of the camera all the time, because you never know when something's going to go wrong. And at weddings, and you guys that shoot events, you understand you only get one chance at this stuff. So I love having 2 memory cards. So that's a big important thing if you're shooting professionally. You really need to have 2 memory cards in your camera. There's some great cameras out there that don't have 2 memory cards, but try to find one that does. Now, with that said, the video on this camera is absolutely unbelievable. I'll shoot a lot of 4K 24 frames per second. I think it does 4K all the way up to 60. I use most of the time I'm shooting 1080 30 frames a second or 60 frames a second. Every now and then I go into 4K, but it does a great job on video, and the focusing of the Canon R6 is just unbelievable. The eye tracking, if somebody walks in, say your bride walks in, boom, it grabs her eyeball, and it's going to follow her wherever she goes. Now if you need to change it, you can actually switch it to a different eyeball, but the eye tracking on the Canon R6 is just amazing in how it grabs focus and holds focus, and you no longer have to spin the little dial around to line it up with one of the dots and then recenter it and shoot it like the old DSLRs, like the Canon 6D or the Canon 50D and those line. So that really makes things move a lot faster when you don't have to worry about focus. You can set it how you want, boom, the eye's in focus, you're good to go. So, and I use a battery grip on mine. That's the bottom. Not only does it give you better support, I also use this hand cover that screws into the top and the sides. There's some more ways not to drop the camera, but I run a battery grip on it, and I run 2 batteries in there, and I keep 2 batteries in my pocket. So if I'm out in the field shooting a bride and groom somewhere and the 2 batteries in my camera go dead, I can pop in the 2 that are in my pocket, and you can shoot 2 batteries for a long time. Now it's not going to go as long as the Canon 6D. You could put 2 batteries in it and shoot pretty much an entire wedding, but it didn't have all the electronics that the Canon R6 has. Get that battery grip. It'll help balance too, and you get some bigger and longer lenses on there. It gives it a really good feel to your hand. You'll get a lot more battery uses. I would hate to use one of these modern day mirrorless cameras and only have 1 battery with me. That just wouldn't work. You got to have at least 2. I like having 2 in the camera and 2 more in my pocket. With that said, the Canon R6 is my favorite camera. Like I said, the Canon R6 Mark II, if I was forced to pick another camera, I would probably pick the Canon R6 Mark II. And yeah, I would pick it over the R5. I'm not slamming on the R5, but I just don't need all those megapixels. And that's a very expensive camera body too. And I think for the profit line, it's not going to make me the extra money over one of the Canon, the R6 or the R6 Mark II. So I'm going to run through some tests. We're going to do an ISO test. I've got some seashells I'm going to shoot pictures of, show you those. We're going to do an ISO test. We're going to do some video tests, maybe do some frames per second. We'll run a few tests on this. I'm probably shoot my wife is with me, so I'll probably shoot a few pictures, headshots of her so we can take a look at how it does on that. But it's such a versatile camera, being able to use the RF and the EF. And that EF adapter is only like, I think I paid $75 for mine. I think mine's a Mikey, M-I-E-K-E, I believe is how they spell it. And there's no loss of quality, so don't worry about you're not going to get as good a focus, or you're not going to get as good quality pictures. You're not going to lose anything by putting on those little adapters. So anyway, with all that said, if you guys have any questions, let me know down at the bottom, or your opinions down at the bottom, and let's continue on with this review. Okay guys, what we're going to do now is we're going to take the Canon R6. I've got some seashells right here on this table. We've got the ocean coming in from the windows, but it's kind of stormy, so it's not a super bright day. I'm going to take the ISO and start on these seashells at ISO 2500 on the Canon R6, so you can see just how good the ISO is on this camera. I'm going to run it up really high and show you how well it does on grain. So I'm going to flip off the video lights so you won't be able to see me very well, but I don't want it to affect this. So let's see how it looks. Alright, so I've got the shells, we're at 2500. So we're going to go on up from there. I'm going to go on past 3200. I'll do 3200. Alright, so we're at 3200. And now I will go to ISO 5000. And we'll keep on cranking it up from there. We're at 6400. We'll go to 8000 on the ISO. And from there we will go on up to 12,800. I'm going to have to bring up shutter speed because otherwise it's going to be, I'll bring up the f side. We'll bring it up to f9. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to shoot it at 8,000. I'm going to have to adjust the ISO. I think what I'll do is I'll change the shutter speed to f9 so it's not too bright. So we're at ISO 8,000 on this shot. And then we're going to really crank it up this time. We're going to go up to 12,800. See how we're getting on that. Again, I have to turn the shutter speed up to f11 so it's not overexposed. So ISO 12,800. And we'll go up to 2,500, and we'll just take a look at just how good that looks. We'll go up to 25,600 ISO. We're going to have to adjust that. We are at 1/60th of a second, f16, and ISO 25,600. And I think you guys are going to be impressed. Okay guys, so that was the ISO test with the seashells. I'm going to run those. We're going to check them out. I think you're going to be very impressed with how good this camera does. Like I said, I started at ISO 2500, which some of the older digital cameras don't even go to 2500. So that was our starting point. And I went all the way to 25,400, 25,600, whatever it is. But I think we won't start seeing much grain until we get to 12,000. And even then, it's not going to be a lot, but the 25,000 one should just blow your mind comparing the ISO on this Canon R6. And it's the R6 original, not the R6 Mark II. So let's have a look at those pictures and let's keep this review going. I just want to take this second of your time. If you guys would please hit like and subscribe, it would go a long ways toward helping our channel and help us keep making these videos. Thank you. All right, so I want to show you guys a 30-second clip. This is shot in regular HD. Didn't even shoot it in 4K. 30-second recording of the ocean. So check this out. Here are some pictures we've taken at different times of the day, different things with the Canon R6, and one of them is very cool. I like the pier shot. I think that's pretty cool, but one that I want you to check out is the sand. I had my wife grab some sand and let it pour out of her hand, and I shot them at 1/8,000th of a second so we could try to catch the grains as they fall. So anyway, you guys check out these pictures and let me know down at the bottom what you think about them. Hey guys, I just want to take this second of your time. If you guys would please hit like and subscribe, it would go a long ways toward helping our channel and help us keep making these videos. Thank you.